I still hear the engine outside, sometimes a darling, in the dark, waiting for me to look. I work nights at a gas station off Route 17, just outside a small town you've probably never heard of. We're opened 24 hours, but after midnight it's dead quiet most nights. My landlord was threatening eviction, and the night shift paid slightly more than days. They warned me it could get weird late at night, drunks, meth heads, the usual. But I wasn't scared. I figured I'd just stay in the little bulletproof kiosk and watch videos on my phone. The occasional trucker fueling up, a local looking for smoke. Nothing dramatic. I took the job because I needed cash fast. A faded gray sedan, old model, maybe late 90s. The headlights were dim. One flickered like it had a loose connection. It would circle the lot, one slowly on. But that first week, I noticed something odd. Around 1 a.m., a car would pull in, but the driver's silhouette was barely visible. No dome light, just a dark shape hunched over the wheel. I didn't think much of it. Maybe someone lost, or scoping out the place to rob it. I made a mental note of the make and plate, but couldn't see it clearly through the dirty glass. The next night, same thing. 1 a.m. on the dot. The gray car rolled in, did a slow circle, and pulled away. It was November, already cold enough to see your breath outside. I didn't love going back there, the door stuck. And there was no light, except a flickering fluorescent that buzzed like an angry hornet. By the third night, it was harder to dismiss. I watched it from inside the kiosk, the windows fogged slightly from my own breath. I remember how the car's headlights swept across the pumps and the cracked pavement like pails. It didn't stop, didn't open the window, just circled once and drove off. That night, my skin prickled. Once at 3:30. Always the same car, same slow circle, never buying anything. The time stamp was correct. I rewound and played it 3 times. The lot stayed dark and empty. I called the owner the next morning and told him. He grunted, like I was wasting his time. Probably a crackhead. Don't confront anyone. Stay in the booth. So I stayed in the booth, but it kept coming. Every night, right around 1 a.m. Sometimes it would show up again, closer to 2. I decided to check the security footage. We had old cameras mounted on the corners of the canopy. The DVR was in the back room. It was like someone killed them, but I could still see the shadow of the car, darker than the night around it, gliding silently past. But I wanted proof. I queued up the footage from the night before. I sat there in that cramped back room, the hum of the cooler filling my ears, watching the time stamp roll past 1 o'clock a.m. Nothing. No headlights. I huddled in the corner, listening for that engine. No car. I thought maybe I'd queued up the wrong day. I checked again, right outside the window. That scared me more than if I'd seen it on the tape. Like the windows were rolled down a crack, and there was something inside staring at me. A pale face, featureless, except for the dark pits of eyes that didn't reflect light. When the car showed up again that night, I decided I'd film it with my own phone. I sat in the kiosk, heart pounding in my chest as 12:59 rolled over to 1 o'clock, right on schedule. Headlights appeared at the edge of the lot. I held my phone up, zooming in. The car moved like it always did, slow, deliberate. I saw frost forming on the glass from my breath, fogging it. I tried to stay low. The moment it reached the far side of the pumps, the headlights flickered off. My fingers trembled so bad the video was useless. I still heard it though. The low rumble of the engine. A scraping sound, like metal dragging on asphalt. After it left, I reviewed the footage on my phone. Nothing, just an empty lot. That was when I stopped feeling safe in the booth. I started turning off the interior lights so I could see better outside. Some nights it didn't come by, but I never knew which nights when it did come. I sometimes thought I could see more detail. One night it stopped completely. I didn't move, didn't even breathe. The engine idled, raspy and uneven. Then, unbelievably, I heard the sound of the car door opening. Metal creaked, a footstep on the gravel. But when I peeked just, barely no one was there. The door was ajar, but empty. No driver. I slammed the shutter on the kiosk window and locked it. I stayed like that until dawn. When my relief came at 6, I practically ran out of there. I didn't tell anyone, but the next night I called in sick. And the night after that, when I finally came back, I made my co-worker switch shifts with me, so I could do evenings instead. But sometimes, when I'm locking up at 11:45 to hand the store over to the night guy, I hear it. Way out on the edge of the highway, an engine idling in the dark, and headlights that flicker once, then go out completely. Last week, the new night guy quit without notice. He didn't explain why. When I asked him, he just went pale and shook his head. I didn't press. I already knew. I don't work nights anymore, but every now and then, when I'm driving home, I check my rearview mirror and swear I see those flickering headlights in the distance, pacing me, waiting for me to stop. And I know that if I ever do, it'll be there, waiting for me to open my door. It was an ordinary day at our house. The kids were driving us crazy, so we decided to go out for dinner. The 4 of us ate dinner together, playing cards and laughing. I assume he was taking a shower, but instead he ran out of the bathroom and into the kitchen. Every time I looked at my brother, he seemed very agitated. He said he wanted to rest. Later, we heard screams coming from the other room. Then he pulled out a pair of scissors and began cutting away at his sleeves. "What the hell are you doing?" I yelled at him. "Are you trying to hurt yourself?" My brother stopped cutting and looked at me. He ran out of the house, down the street, and disappeared. My husband and I immediately called the police, but they said it wasn't their problem. So we left him alone for the next couple of days. Before moving in with Mom and Dad, you used to live in foster care. You changed schools so often that you've probably forgotten all your teachers' faces. You've known thousands of people, and none of them remember you. You're a complete nobody. No one remembers you. No one cares about you. So you might as well not exist. When I say it out loud, it sounds crazy. But if I'm telling the truth, why don't you recognize me? I'm your older sister. Don't you remember the bike accidents, the playground fights, the times we shared together? I don't remember any of that, he said. All I know is that I'm alone. No one loves me. No one cares about me. I'm just a mistake that needs to be erased. The only reason I have unkilled myself yet is because I want to make sure that no one will ever love me again. My brother burst into tears and ran out of the house. He hasn't been back since. Now, I'm left wondering if I did the right thing by telling him the truth. Was it worth shattering his reality? Or would it have been better to let him live in peace? Only time will tell. Finally, he came out of his room and went downstairs. I immediately asked him what had happened, but he acted as if nothing had occurred. Can I get some milk? It's kind of cold, he asked. That was the last straw. I exploded. Why did you spend so much time in the bathroom? Why did you cover up your arms? Bye. My brother stared at me. How did you know? He whispered. I know everything. I lied. Bye. I didn't tell him anything about my suspicions. I just asked him why he was hurting himself. Because I want to erase my memories, he said. I don't remember what I did before moving here. Bah. I have these gaps in my memory, and whenever I look in the mirror, I see horrible scars on my body. I don't know what happened, but I know I don't want to remember. You can't hide from your mistakes forever, bro, I said. But why would you want to forget them? Because they're too painful, he whispered. Will it help if I tell you what happened? Sure, he said. Pa. He's an adult and he's perfectly capable of making his own decisions, the officer said. If you're worried about his well-being, I suggest dropping it. They left us with no other choice but to call his doctor. So I did. His face was pale. His eyes were wide. Stop interfering. This doesn't concern you, he said. I've spoken with his psychologist and psychiatrist, he said. They claim he's fine. If he wants to cut himself, no one can stop him. But you can try reasoning with him. If you can get him to come out of his room, I'll try talking to him. The doctor went upstairs to check on him, but he quickly came back down, frustrated. I think he's suffering from self-harm disorder, he said, but I can't help him if he won't listen. The doctor drove off, leaving us alone once again. Terrified, I stepped back. Was this the person I knew? Had my fun-loving brother lost his mind? Don't listen to him, sis, my husband said. He's just upset because he can't shave. Go clean up in the bathroom. You're gonna scare the kid. As my husband comforted me and the kids, my brother rushed out of the room and into the bathroom. My brother must have been having another nightmare, I thought. But then he stormed out of the room and into the kitchen. He started rummaging around, looking for something. Seeing this, I called out to him and asked what he was doing. Have you seen my razor? He asked, not taking his eyes off the drawer he was opening. Why don't you ask Dad? He has so many. I replied. No, I need mine, he answered, still frantically searching. "It's not in there," my husband said, annoyed by his tone. "Just stop being such a pain in the ass and go back to your room." He kept excusing himself to the bathroom for unknown reasons. I began noticing strange things, too. For example, he always knocked over his chair whenever he left the room. Also, sometimes when I was walking past the bedroom, I could hear running water, but no shower was running. And at night, he would often cry out in his sleep. All of these events caused me to grow increasingly nervous. Put in his pajamas, eyes bloodshot and wearing socks. He poured himself a bowl of cereal, sat down and began eating in silence. Then he poured himself a glass of water and drank it in large gulps. It was unsettling, but I thought nothing of it. Some people are just weird, I guess. I assumed he was washing his cuts, but that was wrong. He spent a lot of time in there. Suddenly, the door swung open, and my brother stumbled out. To my amazement, he had wrapped both arms in bandages. My husband and I exchanged puzzled glances. I tried to speak, but my voice failed me. What was he hiding? We talked about the news, politics, what was going on in our lives. And overall, we had a wonderful night. After the game, my brother asked if he could stay over for the weekend, because he didn't want to drive home late at night. My husband and I agreed, but since we only have one bedroom, he had to sleep in the living room. At about midnight, I heard someone crying, "Bye." I got out of bed to find my brother sitting on the couch sobbing uncontrollably. He told me that he kept having these awful nightmares. He said he'd rather sleep in the car. I told him that he could stay in our bed, but my husband said no, because it would cramp our style. My brother insisted that he was fine, but we made him take the spare bedroom anyway. As we were getting ready, I remembered that my brother was coming over soon for his weekly game night. So, I sent my husband a text message asking him to pick up some snacks for my brother on the way home. I knew he would be happy to get some extra attention from his big sister. He's such a mommy's boy. On the drive home, my husband spotted a cute little pizza restaurant and decided to stop in and grab a slice to share with the kids while they played video games. However, he was out of luck. There was no pepperoni, sausage, cheese, or veggie pizza to be found. Instead, the only slices available were covered in mushrooms. My husband hates mushrooms. Well, I suppose eating dinner with friends isn't really a good time to test your luck. So he drove home without a pizza. Upon arriving, my husband was greeted by a hungry wife and kids who were desperate for food. But before anyone could complain, my brother arrived. In the morning, I woke up in our bed, listening to my brother making noise in the other room. As the day wore on, I started to become suspicious. One evening, my husband and I decided to watch a horror movie together, but my brother refused to join us. First, that's when my brother lost it. He shouted, "Leave me alone. I need to do this." From outside, I heard the sound of splashing water. Suddenly, my brother began to scream. "This sucks. I can't live like this. It's too painful. I want to die." When the doctor arrived, he told us that there was nothing he could do. My husband and I tried talking to our son, but all he did was yell at us to shut up. "The thing is, you're not actually you. Someone stole your identity and brainwashed you." No matter what kind of security measures are in place, it seems like there's always ways to breach them. P. Security guards. Never expected this. Welcome back, everyone. Here, I found these stories on Reddit, and I can't wait to share them with you. Our first story comes from a Reddit user. I work security at a mid-sized regional hospital. I was taking trash out to the dumpsters behind our apartment complex. As I walked back, I noticed a man in a wheelchair going into the elevator. He was covered in blankets, and his face was concealed. I thought nothing of it and went on about my day. About an hour later, I needed to go to the basement laundry room. As I took the stairs down, I heard shuffling and the distinct squeak of a wheel. I peeked around the corner and saw the same man from earlier. I asked him if everything was okay and if he needed help. He responded in a raspy voice, "Help me." In a panic, I ran to the elevator, but when I reached it, the doors had closed, and it wasn't moving. I pressed the button and waited, but it just made a noise, and the doors opened to reveal an empty shaft. Thinking that maybe the power was out, I went back to the laundry room to check on the guy. He was still there, pushing himself forward with his hands, leaving a trail of blood everywhere. I yelled for him to wait and ran to the elevator again. By now, the power was back on, and the man was gone. Confused and scared, I got into the elevator and pressed the button for the top floor. As the elevator started moving, I could have sworn I saw the same man looking at me from the ceiling. I rushed to the first floor and ran to the security office. The guard told me that he had checked the security footage and that the elevator hadn't been used since 2 a.m. And the guard who was on duty then had checked every floor and the basement and had seen anyone. According to him, I was the first person to report any suspicious activity that morning. It's not a glamorous gig, but it pays well enough for night shift. If you did, please let me know by leaving a like or a comment down below. I'll see you guys next time. Bye. Most nights are quiet, just me, my rounds, and a bank of security monitors showing endless hallways, waiting rooms bathed in fluorescent gloom, and empty, sterile corridors that always seem colder after visiting Hour's End. You get used to the hush of it all, the hum of vending machines, the way your own footsteps echo. I've been doing this about 6 years, but there are places in the hospital that even the staff avoid at night, and one of them is the East Wing. The East Wing was shut down for renovations last year, but the work stalled out when budgets got cut. Since then, it's just been sealed. Doors padlocked, lights turned off at the breaker. The only reason we monitored it at all is because of liability making. Sure, no squatters, no teens breaking in, no vagrants seeking a warm bed in the empty rooms. So I was sitting in the security office around 2 a.m. It was a bad shift already. One of the nurses had called me up to deal with a drunk in the ear, and I'd torn my jacket in the scuffle. My mood was sour. I was nursing burnt coffee, eyes gritty from watching nothing happen on those screens for hours. Then, the East Wing monitor flickered. Normally, that camera was so dark you could barely make out shapes. But in the flicker, I saw A pale figure in a hospital gown. Just for a second. I leaned forward so fast, I almost spilled my coffee. The camera steadied. There it was again. A patient. It looked like thin, sickly, bare feet on the linoleum. The gown was open in the back, showing mottled skin. My voice cracked as I spoke. Security to East Wing. They were walking slowly down the halls, low enough for me to see that their head hung forward, hair over the face. I froze. There shouldn't be anyone there. I grabbed the mic for the hospital PA. The hair parted. I don't even know how to describe it. Anyone in the East Wing, please. Return to your room or identify yourself. Silence. I watched as the figure stopped walking. It didn't turn immediately, it just stopped. Then slowly, very slowly, it lifted its head. The face looked wrong, swollen on one side, slack on the other, like a stroke victim or something else. The eyes were open but milky, and then it turned fully to face the camera. I felt the bottom drop out of my stomach. Hey, you all right in there? Because I knew that corridor. I'd locked it myself at the start to shift. It was sealed with a heavy, sliding metal door, secured by a bolt and padlock on the outside. No one could be in there. My radio crackled and startled me so bad I almost fell out of the chair. It was Carl, the other guard on duty. I cleared my throat, tried to sound steady. Check the East Wing. Now what? Titch locked. Check it to pause. All right, heading over. I kept watching the screen. Figure didn't move. Just stood there, facing the camera, as if it could see me. The lights in the hallway began to dim even further. But the picture on the monitor darkened until it was almost black. I squinted, trying to adjust the contrast. Suddenly the feed cut to static. I swore and smacked the side of the monitor. The radio crackled again. Hey, I'm at East Wing entrance. What the hell is going on? You didn't see anyone leave. What do you see? Nothing. Still padlocked. Dust all over. No sign it was open. I felt sweat trickle down my ribs under my uniform. Stand by, I told him. I got up, legs shaking. I grabbed my flashlight and badge, then hurried down the long hallway to meet Carl. When I got there, he looked annoyed but a little worried. Dude, I just told you the padlock's untouched. What am I supposed to be seeing? Played it again. I shone my light over it. The lock was intact, thick with grime. I felt something crawling up my spine. Come on, I said. We're checking the cameras again. We jogged back to the security office. I pulled up the East Wing camera. The feed was back, but pitch black. I tried replaying it. The recording showed the same corridor, but no figure. Just the dim, abandoned hall with plastered dust on the floor. Didn't leave that room except to unlock doors for the cleaning crew. Carl frowned. Nothing. My mouth went dry. It was there. I swear it. Behind me. You've been sleeping on the job. I wanted to hit him. Instead, I rewound further, but the moment was gone. After he left, shaking his head, I sat, staring at the black screen. I didn't want to admit it, but I felt like someone was watching me from the monitor itself. I got through the rest of my shift somehow. I kept checking the East Wing camera obsessively. It stayed dark, but just before dawn, when the shift was almost over, I heard something over the hospital PA. Not my voice. A dry, rasping whisper. Security to East Wing. Please return to your room. I snapped the mic off, heart pounding. I checked with the nurses at the desk. They claimed they didn't hear anything over the speakers. I didn't tell anyone else about it, but that was 2 months ago. I still work here. And sometimes, on nights when I'm the only one in the security office, the East Wing camera flickers on for a second. And I see that same pale figure in the dark, standing just inside the locked doors, waiting. This next story comes from another Reddit user. This happened around 6:30 in the morning. And that is the end of part 1. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this episode.